All right, let's talk about a song, but not just any song. We're going to dive into a single track that didn't just top the charts, it completely tore up the rulebook and changed the game for everyone. Of course, I'm talking about Bob Dylan's iconic masterpiece, Like a Rolling Stone. It all kicks off with this question, and it's not a friendly one, is it? It's a sneer. When these lines hit the radio in 1965, there was nothing else like it. It's so direct, so accusatory, and it was just the beginning of a 6-minute musical earthquake. And this is the aftermath of that earthquake. Years later, in 2004, Rolling Stone magazine didn't just add it to a list. They put it right at the very top. Number 1, the single greatest song ever written. So what's the big deal? Why this one? That's exactly what we're here to figure out. So yeah, let's start right there with that huge claim. I mean, calling any piece of art the greatest is a pretty bold move, right? But for decades, so many people have argued that if any song actually deserves that title, this is the one. So let's unpack it. And you gotta understand, this wasn't some online fan poll. The ranking came from a huge panel of serious music historians, critics, and artists. They saw this song as more than just a hit. They saw it as a turning point. Really, the moment modern pop music decided to grow up. Now, to really get why this song was such a big bang, you have to understand the guy who wrote it and, where his head was at. In early 1965, Bob Dylan was hitting a wall. Big time. See, before this song, Dylan was the folk hero, the poster boy for the counterculture, armed with just an acoustic guitar and a harmonica. His fans didn't just like him, they saw him as their spokesperson. But for him, that image was becoming a prison. And this slide just lays it all out perfectly. It's like two totally different people. He was leaving behind the folk hero on the left, acoustic guitar, predictable protest songs, and becoming the rock rebel on the right. He plugged in, went electric, and started writing this blistering, abstract poetry. It was a massive change that a lot of his old fans hated, but it created something brand new. So this song, it wasn't just another tune he wrote. It was more like an explosion. Dylan was apparently so burned out from the pressure of being the voice of a generation that he was seriously thinking about quitting music altogether. Like a Rolling Stone was what came pouring out instead, all that frustration and anger, and it completely redefined his career. Okay, so we've set the scene. We know why he wrote it, but what about the song itself? What did it actually sound like? And why did it blow everyone's minds in 1965? Let's get into the sound that just shattered all the rules. First off, just look at the runtime, 6 minutes and 13 seconds. I mean, today that's nothing, but in an era where the perfect radio hit was 2.5 minutes, maybe 3, this was insane. It was basically commercial suicide. At first, radio stations wouldn't touch it, but people demanded it so much they eventually had to give in. And it was way more than just the length. The whole sound was just different. It was a new beast entirely. It mashed up the smart, complicated lyrics of folk music with the raw energy of rock and roll. You had that killer organ riff, that driving beat, Dylan's sneering voice, all wrapped up in a super catchy verse-chorus structure. This was it. This was the birth of folk rock. The song became the absolute centerpiece of his new album Highway 61 Revisited. And that album was basically his declaration of independence. This was it. There was no turning back. Bob Dylan, the acoustic folk singer, was pretty much gone. And in his place was a full-blown rock and roll pioneer. But as wild as the music was, the words he was singing were maybe even more of a shock to the system. So let's talk about the lyrical beatdown at the center of this thing, which all comes back to that one brutal question. This is the knockout punch, the chorus. This isn't a love song. It's not a protest anthem. It is a direct, personal, and just relentless attack. The way he keeps asking, how does it feel, over and over again. It's part taunt, part real question. And it's what makes the song impossible to forget. The whole song tells this vivid story about a character. People sometimes call her Miss Lonely. She's a woman from high society who used to have it all. Went to the best schools, had all these fake friends, and totally looked down her nose at people who had less. And the entire point of the song is watching her fall. Dylan just meticulously picks apart her life piece by piece until all her privilege is gone. And she ends up in the exact same spot as the people she used to laugh at, totally alone with no direction home. And here's a really juicy bit of trivia. Dylan has never officially said who it's about, but for decades, the theory has been that he was writing about a real person, the model and Andy Warhol it girl, Edie Sedgwick. Whether it's true or not, it just adds this whole other layer of savage personal detail to the lyrics.
So you've got this revolutionary sound, these revolutionary lyrics. The fuse was lit. But how did this one song build a legacy so powerful that it would eventually be crowned the greatest of all time?
Well, first of all, it was a smash hit right away. You'd think a 6-minute song filled with this much venom would be a commercial disaster. Nope. It flew up the Billboard charts all the way to number 2. The public absolutely loved it, and it proved that pop music could be smart, ambitious, and a massive hit. And this timeline just shows you the long game. I mean, it explodes onto the scene in '65. It immediately starts influencing rock royalty, like the Beatles and Hendrix. Then you have that number 1 ranking in 2004, and its lyrical power was even a factor when Dylan was awarded the Nobel Prize in Literature in 2016. Its power just has not faded. And seriously, its fingerprints are everywhere. The Beatles heard it and decided they needed to write deeper lyrics. Jimi Hendrix turned it into this incredible psychedelic epic. Artists are still covering it. Green Day did a version. The title itself just seemed to perfectly capture the feeling of the times, even echoing the name of the Rolling Stones, who'd actually taken their name from an old blues song a few years prior. So that brings us back to the big question at the end of it all. This one song changed the rules. It changed how long a song could be, what it could sound like, and what it could be about. It gave pop music a new brain and a new rebellious heart. So I'll just leave you with this to think about. If you had to pick a single song to define a total musical revolution, is this the one?